Welcome back to Two Who's Review. I'm Alex,
I'm Fitz.
I'm Sam.
and today we are reviewing The Doctor's Daughter. And no, that's not an awful smash or pass thing. It's the 7th episode of Season 4 of Doctor Who, 6th episode actually. And it's the third with Martha, and it's the episode that introduces and says goodbye to Jenny. Which is weird, because the ending definitely seems to hint that there could be more in the future, but it's a massive universe, so it's not a surprise they haven't run into each other again yet.
You know, maybe RTD's got something up his sleeve.
I think she has returned in Big Finish, but not on.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Mind you, a lot of people.
It would be very easy to get Georgia Tennant. You've got 2 lines of contact with her through the show.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if that did eventually happen. To be fair, there's a fucking Big Finish spin-off of Jago and Lightfoot, who are 2 minor characters from the Talons of Wang Chang, so basically everybody gets a turn with Big Finish.
I just double checked, and they've run into each other at least 4 times. Let's see, Olive 14 years old, Wilfred 12 years old, Doris 10, and Birdie 5. Now Ty doesn't count, of course, because he's the oldest, is George's kid from a previous relationship who David only adopted, but that's at least 4 confirmed run-ins between the 2.
So that's how you would describe that, as running into each other?
Well, minimum.
That you would describe that as running into each other?
Well, in a sense, I suppose.
Awful. The Doctor's Daughter. This is another one. We're in the same point of Series 4 that we were in Series 3, where it's like there's like a couple of episodes that no one really talks about, and then the last 6 episodes of the season are the big ones.
Yeah.
And I feel that, like, last time it was Lazarus Experiment and 42, neither of which me or Fitz were particularly impressed by.
There were bits of Lazarus Experiment I liked, but overall, it wasn't good. And there's a lot of reasons why people don't talk about 42. In fact, you could probably think of 42 reasons why people don't talk about 42.
Yeah, but then you're thinking about 42 for that long, and no one wants to do that.
Yeah, that's true.
I think it's physically impossible, and I say that knowing that our 42 review was longer than 42 minutes. But this isn't like this, and the next episode are the 2 get through them episodes before you get to the really good stuff. And I wonder if over the course of this discussion we'll figure out if that reputation is warranted or not for this one.
I'm going to go ahead and say that I don't think it is. I'll just go ahead and say that now.
You don't think it is?
I
think it,
so either. Yeah.
I like this episode quite a lot. I think it's interesting, but for the most part, until you get to the last 10 minutes, I don't think there's much in this story that's super, super different or innovative. Like, yes, you've obviously got the Doctor's Daughter, that's a wacky thing. But in terms of a lot of the concepts and story arc and even backstory, until that last 10 minutes, this is stuff we've seen before, right? We've got intractable war between 2 groups of people. We've seen that a number of times in Doctor Who. We've got cranky, war-obsessed general who refuses to listen and winds up fucking things up because of it. We've got alien species that winds up not being, the real threat. They wind up being friends. And we've got the Doctor and companions solving mysteries, and, this is stuff we've seen before. But the 2 big elements that make it different are, 1, Jenny is a character, both as in a literal character, as in her story arc, but 2, conceptually, as, the Doctor's sort of daughter. And then the last 10 minutes, where it really not only does it get intense, but it kind of forces the Doctor and the audience to confront issues that, even if they've been confronted in the show before, it's doing it in a really potent and just interesting way by the end there. Oh, and also the twist in the end, I thought was quite innovative as well. But yeah, those are my basic thoughts.
I think that as a it's interesting that this directly follows up the Sontaran story, and I think this is a better anti-war story than that one was.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, I'd
because
agree.
like this, kind of because it's a bigger focus, even given the shorter runtime, and like there's a bigger, like in the previous one, it was kind of like ooh, you know, military bad, violence bad, guns bad. This one's more about the futility of it all,
Yeah.
and you know
Yeah.
the way that like when you boil down to it, a lot of wars are preventable and all this kind of stuff, and the meaningless loss of life, especially given
Mm.
the ramifications of the twist in this story. I think that's
Yeah.
a very interesting dynamic that this story has going for it. I like that Donna's the one to figure it out. I think that's
Yeah,
really great, and it
that's
makes
good.
Yeah.
sense for a character, especially since the Doctor in this has bigger fish to fry.
Ha 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 ha.
That was completely unintentional. I swear to God.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, he technically doesn't because he's not an
That's
enemy
Martha's
of
job.
the.
Yeah.
Well, even then, not really, because she only helps the Hath. So
Hmm.
anyway, yeah, it's an interesting story, and I do quite agree. It does I enjoyed this Sontaran stratagem in the Poison Sky. I really enjoyed having the Sontarans back, but in terms of a more, I guess, cohesive message in terms of anti-war rhetoric, this is better. Partly because I think with the Sontaran stratagem and the Poison Sky, they're dealing because it's the Sontarans, right? They're a warrior clone race, but they are kind of that one-minded sort of a thing, and so a lot of those episodes are dealing kind of with the iconography of war and why that's bad, but this story kind of attacks war on a deeper level. By having a similar concept because you've got all these clones, but because they've got agency, again, it just attacks it at a deeper level, which is a bit more interesting. Yeah.
I want to deal with a couple my biggest sticking point with the episode right at the top, so we can get it out of the way and we can talk about the other stuff. And that's that I am disappointed with how they utilized, or at least didn't utilize, Martha too well.
Yeah, I'd wondered about
I found that her scenes with the Hath really slowed the pace down. I think there's a few reasons for that. The first thing is that the Hath can't speak. So that's a big thing right there. We cannot get any because you think that by separating the Doctor and Martha and having them in the different war camps and having them interact with them separately, you'd think that would lead to these two sides aren't so different after all kind of thing, you know. But because we can't hear the Hath talk, we can things are implied. We can think things on our own, but we don't ever get that confirmation. Secondly, except for fixing a dislocated shoulder, there's really nothing that Martha does to help the Hath. She's just there when the map fixes itself. That was the Doctor. And then she decides to take the shortcut. And that, again, that doesn't really help. That helps one Hath, except it doesn't, because it's this decision that directly... Yeah?
Sorry, just give me a minute. Sam, are you with us? Your icon's flashing, but I can't hear you. Is that just me?
No, I'm still here.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, all right. Anyway.
I just haven't been able to get a word in edgewise over
sorry.
Sorry.
Well, I mean, I said I'd want to get all this out quickly. I say that she helps that one Hath, but in actuality what she does is lead it onto the surface of the planet and then slip and fall in order so that Hath can sacrifice itself. She has she has a cry about it. She's clearly devastated, but then it's never mentioned again. That Hath has never given a proper ceremony or anything like that. If you remove Martha from the story and you just cut back to the Hath every now and then as they're gearing up for battle and discovering the map, nothing changes about the story. So, Martha has no insight either towards the end. She's not the one that teaches the Doctor, no, Jenny's clearly a person, that's Donna's job. So So like, why is she here? It takes away so much runtime that we
I
could
mean-
be using to developing a lot of this other stuff. And I say this, I like Martha, but Sam, your point has always been that you prefer Martha's utilization and characterization in series 4 as opposed to series 3. And I'm sorry, I just don't agree with that after these 3 episodes. Like, what point did she have in this?
I mean, I'm not going to say that like these are the best, and my point about liking Martha in season 4 is less that like she's really well utilized in these episodes and the finale. It's more just I like the way that she's characterized and like fits in the universe more.
Sure,
Well, I just don't like her arc in season 3, and I feel like
fair enough.
she doesn't like her arc doesn't get to be about her as much as it gets to be about like her dealing with the Doctor, dealing with Rose.
Very fair.
That is a bit true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say nothing changes about the episode if Martha isn't there. If you're just cutting back to the Hath and just seeing them do stuff, like having a character that the audience knows and trusts be there with them to see them being like, oh, they're doing the same things. They're not as just like immediately, they're not like,
Yeah.
it's more to just show like these aren't mindless monsters. These are also just guys. They're
I
weird
think-
fish guys.
But to that end, though, why not have Donna be that person and have Martha be in the main camp so that we can actually use the fact that she's been brought on this adventure like this one time? Like, what's the point of bringing her along if she's going to get separated?
It's the same thing I said in Poison Sky. Martha isn't the companion this season. Donna should be given the important emotional things like interacting with Jenny and helping the Doctor on that emotional arc. That should be Donna's role because she's the more important one here. So if you have a spare character in the form of Martha, she may as well be a point of view character for seeing the Hath side of things.
I guess so. I just wish those scenes were paced better. That's my thing. Like they just sort of dragged to a halt. And there was that was
like I'll agree with that. But like I think her
one-
involvement is more important than you're giving it credit.
There was a moment when it cuts from the human bunker to the Hath bunker, and then back to the human bunker. And the only thing that happens in that Hath bunker scene is that Martha gets surrounded by like 4 or 5 Hath as they all pat her head and stroke her arms. And like it's so fucking weird. It has the exact same template as girl on the couch, all the men standing behind her. Like it's so weird.
If
Okay.
if that's the connection you're making, that's on you.
It is.
Yeah,
I'm not
gonna-
saying it's on the episode, but I'm just kind of like, why do you close up on the Hath lovingly stroking Martha? Like, what's the point of that?
Because
Doesn't
they're
tell us
weird
anything about
aliens.
the
They're
Hath.
doing a weird alien thing where they're like,
Yeah.
yes, well, you're one of us.
Um,
We like you. This is how we show affection.
Yeah, I'm not gonna delve into that particular interpretation of it. As to how
You're
necessary
saying
the
you
scene
wanted a
was.
scene of Martha getting railed by 5 Hath Cuff. Is that the
Yes!
argument you're making?
Yes, it would make it more memorable.
Well, now we know why it didn't go ahead with Tom, don't we?
Yes.
Sorry, I've just been sitting here with my head in my hands for the last 2 minutes.
But no, yeah, I'll agree the pacing of those scenes isn't great, but like, yeah, her involvement isn't nothing. Something is happening there more than if you just saw the Hath every now and then.
I'm kind of halfway between both of your points of view. I think that I understand what you mean, Cuff, because I felt that same way too. When I was watching the story, particularly the second time, I'm like, yeah, how important is she? You know, could we have gotten through this story? Like the plot, it's just the same basic plot beats. Without her, maybe. I think, like, I think I mentioned last time when we were doing the Poison Sky and the Sontaran stratagem that I'd completely forgotten that Martha was in this story. And I wonder if part of that is because her significance in the plot isn't as big as it could or should have been. Even in terms of just sort of fitting all the pieces of the plot together. With that said, I don't think her inclusion is certainly not, completely pointless. For a couple of reasons. One, and I think we asked this question last time, if not Martha, who else, right? Because you have Donna, right? But she's got to deal with the Doctor and Jenny and the solving of the mystery. And you need somebody to really, look at the Hath. No, you need. Sorry, I'm trying to phrase this. You need somebody else to be the
character in the Hath camp.
Yeah, you need somebody else to be the audience's eyes. And I don't know who else they could have really gotten for that. You could theoretically have found a member of the human camp who gets kidnapped, but that's just a whole other area of characterization that the story damn sure didn't have time for. Yeah. But with Martha,
and realistically, if it had been a character from the human camp, they would have just killed them.
Yeah, and it because it's Martha, it's a character with a history. We know that she has a strong sense of compassion, and even just on a practical side, the fact that she, is a doctor, her medical know-how comes in handy in those scenes. So, yes, maybe those scenes aren't as integral to the plot as they could or should be, but I think having her there gives us that perspective that we desperately need, and it helps with the themes. I think thematically, she's quite an important character, because it's through her eyes that we realize that the Hath are not, these mindless monsters, which is very, very important, I think, to the overall themes of the story, being anti-war and pro-cooperation, and things like that. And even if that whole element of, alien species, that's not actually the bad guys, even if we've seen that in Doctor Who before, it's so important, I think, to the themes in this story. You had to have it, evolve in some way, similar to how it actually is in the final product. So I think Martha is necessary in that sense. But yes, Cuff, I will agree, there were moments where I thought, on a very basic logic level, yeah, you probably could have gotten through the basic bits of the story without Martha. So yeah,
I think I just equate it to something that I've often said about bringing back older villains, and it's definitely something that we've criticized the newer show for, where it's like, if you're gonna bring back an older villain, or in this case an older character, and even though it's like a year older, it's still an older character, you've got to have a good reason for it, otherwise why'd you do it?
I mean, that's true.
And I don't think this was a good enough reason. I think there's a way you can rewrite this story and get all the exact same stuff across without it being Martha.
I mean, let's like pull back the perspective and look at the whole season.
Yeah.
Everyone is going to be in Journey's End. That's what the whole RTD era is leading to. So, it makes sense to establish Martha as a unit operative earlier in the season. Because, like, who else have you got? You've got Torchwood and you've got Sarah Jane, who have their spin-offs at this point to set up their involvement. Obviously, we've already seen that Rose is going to be involved, and we can either assume or be pleasantly surprised that, like, Mickey and Jackie are going to show up as well, and all those guys. So, like, Martha's really the only one that doesn't have something pre-established to be like, where's she at and how's she doing stuff related to Earth defense. So you have a unit story earlier in the season, you have Martha in there as a audience surrogate to reintroduce us to the concept of unit, and then this one, yes, I agree, is probably the least necessary for her to be in, but my guess is the way things shaked out when writing the season, someone was like, I could really use another character in this Doctor's Daughter one to just hang out with the Hath. And someone said, well, Martha's going to be in the Sontaran episode. Let's just put it after that one and she can tag along for an extra one. That's how it came to be.
Yeah, is it particularly elegant? No. Is it as necessary as it could be? No. But it's I think, Cuff, the principles of what you're saying, I think that's all true, but I don't think it's quite as much of a problem as you're interpreting it to be, and that could just be a difference of personal opinion, like even more so than other disagreements we've had. But
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I guess I just find it. I just think that it's a bit of a downgrade to go from walking the earth by yourself for a whole year to
Yeah.
not looking where your foot's going and getting stuck in a bog. I just think that's a bit of a downgrade, but whatever. Like, it's fine. It's ultimately not the biggest deal in the world, so whatever. One thing I will say about the Hath is it's an incredibly impressive effect. Like the design,
the practical
costume's
effects
really
of the
cool.
costuming, yeah.
The face like mask, like as in like the glass water thing is really nice, and I actually noticed on this watch that the gills do move on their own. I don't know if that's a practical thing or just like a touch up in the editing
It's
booth.
probably
But either way, it's really
practical.
nice.
It looks practical.
I think it's
Like
practical.
they've got eyes that can open and close, so there's probably like basic animatronics.
Yeah, I mean,
in
I
there.
would not claim to be an expert, but like that's why
I mean,
like
It looks practical.
my only thing, it's not specific to the Hath, it's just kind of a general pet peeve that I accept is a limitation of making practical costumes, but I'm like, I wish they didn't all look functionally identical.
Yeah.
Like, I wish there was some slight variance. Like, I wish there was some Hath that were like noticeably shorter or taller than others, or had slightly different colorations or stuff like that. But I'm just like, I get it. You have one mold, and you're making, and you have to mass produce like fucking 30 of these things. You're just going to do them the same every time. So like, it's not really an issue.
And the problem,
I
don't.
30 unique masks.
I don't blame you.
Or at the very least, or at the very least, paint them a bit differently.
Yeah, I don't blame you for feeling that way, Sam, because the thing is, you can have creatures that are, a horde that have a almost like a uniform look to them. But whether that's, a case of the xenomorphs in the Alien series or the Daleks or the Cybermen, there's a reason why they look similar, right? Because that's what they are.
Like, even like Daleks and Cybermen, obviously, like they have a standard mass-produced shell that they use. But even the Xenomorphs, like if you look at the details of the different designs from film to film, there's like a lot.
That's true. But I mean,
in the detail of how they look.
But if we like, I mean more in one specific text or film, like in Aliens, they all look very similar. But yes, I mean you're right. Like
like I said, it's not actually an issue, and I wouldn't like hold it against anything that has to do it that way. But I'm like, but what if it could though?
Yeah, a missed opportunity, I guess.
But I'm also just impressed that they did it this way at all, because I can imagine that episode being done in the mid 2010s or even potentially even today, and I can just imagine the CGI that would be done to make them like.
The first place my mind went was when the Ice Warrior on that submarine episode takes its helmet off.
I had the exact same thought.
Looks fucking terrible.
The exact same thought. Yes, exactly. Yeah. You're right. But yeah, I think the Hath are cool. I think I would like to see them come back, not in a Monster of the Week setting, but in like these are members of the human empire, whenever it takes shape. And not in a cameo, in End of Time either. But
I was just going to use that to say I have rewatched the specials since we last recorded, and I was like, "Oh, look, it's one of those guys, just in a bar, hanging out."
Do you want like a Planet of the Hath sort of episode there, Cuff? Is that what you're?
I don't know about Planet of the Hath, but I would like to see like next time we see like kind of like your Sam, your episode that you pitched about.
Well, I was about to say, I included the Hath in my shameless Starfleet ripoff.
Yeah, like the Hath aren't a villain of the week that got defeated. They're like thinking, functional members of this civilization. So it would be neat to see more of them peppered around the universe, because that makes more sense than seeing a Dalek everywhere or seeing a Zygon everywhere.
but maybe you have seen a Zygon
Oh,
everywhere.
I was going to say,
Yeah,
how do you
true.
know you've seen a Zygon cuff?
That's true. Speaking of the practical effects, though, I do think it's really charming that the guns that everyone's using are just blowtorches.
They look
Yeah, that
terrible.
was. Oh, I
They're
didn't.
like, yeah,
Look,
that I kind of love.
I didn't mind it. I thought it was weird. I don't think I completely clocked that they were like just literal flamethrowers, but I thought, oh, okay, that's a bit of a interesting way of doing like the flashbang of a bullet
Yeah.
exploding, I guess. But
Because like muzzle flashes can look shit if you don't get the light mixing right and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
yeah,
And
yeah.
finding a neat practical workaround is fun. It's something that I only noticed on this watch, and when I did, it was all I could see.
Yeah.
Well,
They
maybe
all
it just
got
shows
that little
that
pilot light in the barrel.
Yeah.
maybe it just shows that the most of the budget of this story did go towards or the special effects budget. Most of it went towards the Hath
Maybe, yeah.
creature design in the heads.
I mean, it
Um,
looks more interesting and fits with the aesthetic of the setting more than if they just had fucking like light up laser guns.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's got a kind of a steampunky kind of vibe to it, so
Mm.
it works. Even if it's a question of, necessity.
Well, it's
it's
also
still
got, like you mentioned aliens before as
stylistic
well.
and
Like
works.
the entire episode has that kind of vibe. It's very similar to Impossible Planet in a weird way, where it's like it's got that
Mm.
sci-fi inspired by aliens thing,
Yeah,
where it's
sort
it's like pre-aliens. Everything was like, oh, we're doing sci-fi, we're doing space. It's got to be clean. It's got to be like
yeah. It's
futuristic,
got to
gotta
be
pristine.
white collar space,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
2001: A Space Odyssey space. But then with
Yeah.
Alien, you've got basically blue collar, like
Mm.
Is this going to be a stand-up fight or just another fish hunt?
Yeah, what else? I want to save Jenny and that whole thing for last because I think it's the most interesting.
Mm.
It's the most interesting thing.
I'll say
Um,
the thing I find most disappointing about this episode is that the director, Alice Troughton, is not in fact the daughter of Patrick Troughton. Because it would
Which
be
is fun.
really funny to be able to say the Doctor's daughter, featuring the Doctor's daughter, played by the Doctor's daughter, who has given birth to the Doctor's daughter and was childhood friends with the Doctor's daughter, was directed by the Doctor's daughter. And you can't say that last one. And it's just,
Yeah.
Can't say it.
we
Can't
were
say
this
it.
close.
Which is funny because Pat Troughton's son actually showed up as a character in
In
The
Midnight,
Monster of
yeah.
Peladon.
And Midnight.
He's in Midnight as well.
Is he? Oh
Yeah.
wow,
He's
Nice.
the old
We'll get
professor guy.
cool.
He looks way more like Pat Troughton in Midnight than he does in Monster of Peladon
Yes.
as well. It's very funny. Back to
It
Alice
was like
Troughton.
decades passed between the two.
She was pregnant while filming her episodes of this season. Alice Troughton.
Right.
Really?
Yeah, she directed this, and I think also she directed Midnight as well.
I thought you were going to say Georgia Moffat was pregnant. I was like,
no,
damn,
Alice
David works
Troughton.
quick.
No, Alice Troughton was pregnant during the filming of this and Midnight. She was pregnant, and
Yeah.
she her due date on that day. She recorded the commentary for the Series 4 DVD. So, like, she's committed.
Jesus.
She's committed to the show. As you might expect of the Doctor's daughter, but not the case. Back to Donna. I think her noticing the numbers correlate to a date. It's very like it's in character and it's really great. I like that she immediately notices this can't be like a pattern because there's not enough deviation. Like it's all the numbers are all too similar.
Yeah, it can't be a cataloging system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this episode has the best examples of the thing I was talking about earlier, where one of Donna's best traits is that she is very smart in ways that the Doctor isn't.
Yeah.
Like I would say like the Doctor is more intelligent than Donna, but in a lot of ways she's smarter than him.
Yeah, well, not just in terms of the admin side, but there's also the emotional intelligence that she demonstrates.
Yeah, but like
in
there's
this
also
story.
like other details, like she's the only one that points out everything is underground, and that makes no sense. Why colonize a planet that you can't live on the surface of?
I wonder if it's that thing that I think Scrooge McDuck actually says it in the 2017 DuckTales, where he says to the green one, he says, when you try to keep looking at all the angles, you miss what's in front of your face, which is I wonder if that's sort of the dynamic there. Certainly,
yeah, he does say that to Louis, doesn't he?
Yeah. It's but like it really works with Donna here because it's the sort of thing that theoretically the Doctor could figure out at some point, but he wouldn't have figured it out nearly as quickly as Donna did. He's too busy sort of dealing with all these other wacky ideas, but it takes Donna and her focus and her
it's
practicality.
The thing of, like, the Doctor probably could have figured it out, but Donna noticed it and recognized that it was important when no one else did. And, like, that's the thing that sets her apart to me.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, I will say that, well, she's obviously the one that, pushes the whole Jenny's a real person thing the hardest, apart from Jenny herself, obviously.
Yeah.
Apart from that one point where she says, "You're not real."
Well, that and right at the start, which I noticed on this watch, and I was like, there's a bit of a whiplash there, where she screams at Jenny for calling Martha collateral damage, and then the next time we see her, she's being very gentle and being like, "Do you have a name?" Like, she came down very quickly from being mad about Martha.
But to be fair, that was a very tense scene at the beginning where her friend got kidnapped, and she just Jenny, even if it was unwittingly, she basically just slapped Donna in the face by saying, she's gone now, fuck off.
And if someone slapped me,
if
someone slapped me in the face, it would take me a long time to get to the point where I was going to have a calm conversation with them.
I mean, Donna fluctuates wildly all the time.
She does. Yeah,
that's true.
Like, I think if any character can get away with being like, "Oi, fuck you." Anyway, now that we've settled that, what's your name? How you doing?
Yeah, it's probably Donna.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a remarkably good Donna episode, as you point out. Everything she does. The Doctor himself also has a good showing. Obviously, he gets to do his anti-genocide stuff. There's that lovely line about looking up genocide in the dictionary. Like, it's a very like,
over my dead body.
It's a very like, I'm trying to make this abundantly clear to you that this is a bad idea thing. I do also find it interesting that before that point, he was treating General Cobb with way more like civility than he showed General Mace in the entirety of the Sontaran episode, despite the fact that Cobb has a gun and represents the same stuff that Mace could have. So again, this is why I think the weird Mace stuff last time was peculiar, because it's directly contrasted with this, where he initially treats with kindness a man who would later kill his daughter.
Maybe there's a deleted scene where the Doctor learns his lesson.
Maybe. And again, if that was pointed out at all, but I think that this characterization of the Doctor is way better, which is why I think I said 2 weeks ago that this is a better example of the "I'm the Doctor and I don't like guns" thing than the previous.
I'd agree.
I agree with you then, but like, I will once again devil's advocate and say the Doctor has been dropped into a situation where he doesn't know why these two sides are fighting. So he's probably more inclined to be like, "I don't know all the circumstances yet. I will be a bit more open to the idea that these guys are at each other's throats."
Yeah, again,
whereas
I like
he has
I agreed. Like, the stuff last time was not as well handled and was a bit more overbearing, but
well, the one thing I think in regards to this issue, apart from the fact that I think you're both right, is something that Cuff pointed out last time is the Doctor really harps on about the fact that he doesn't like guns. And, like, that makes sense. He's a pacifist, but he really, like, he keeps saying, "Oh, get that gun away from me. No, what are you doing? We don't do guns. Ooh, icky, get it away from me." Here, he doesn't have to keep saying it. Like, it really just comes out through his actions as a character and the way the plot is constructed. And it's all, I mean, I'm getting ahead of myself, but it's all brilliantly executed in the one scene at the end where he's literally holding a gun to this dude's head and then just says, oh god, I can't believe I'm forgetting the line here.
I
Help
never
me,
would.
Cuff. I never would, thank you.
Well, I think it's because, like, it's very clear in this, like, he doesn't really have a problem, well, he has a problem with the guns, but he has more of a problem with the soldiers and the war than he does with the guns, which...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think is more to the point. It's more to the point.
Yeah.
And especially poignant, I think this is also the first time, sorry Sam, I think this is the first time that this anti-soldier, anti-war stuff has been brought up in an episode where they also directly mention the Time War and the fact that the Doctor did fight. I might be wrong about that, but I don't think it's happened yet. And I think it's weird that it's taken them this long to do it, because it is such an interesting dichotomy, and it speaks a lot about the Time War that at this point we hadn't seen yet. That this Doctor who has these morals and has these values, and had them before the Time War certainly, was then forced into a situation where he, at least at the time, had no choice and had to pick up the weapons. It's so evocative of what that period of time must have been like for him, and how, like, devastating that war was. It speaks such a lot about this really important historical event.
I was just going to say, I like that this element is being focused on, is particularly in this season, knowing that we're going to get the scene in End of Time where Wilf is pleading with him to take a gun and use it to kill the Master, and he's like, no, I would never, not even for him, I would never compromise my morals that way. I can't.
Yes.
And then he hears, oh, the timelines are coming back? Give me the gun. Give me the gun right now. Give me more guns if you have them. And it's just like, oh, now we know how big of a problem this is.
Yeah, it's so great. And I think that scene is really awesome as well, because I think it does a good job of merging the stuff from Sontaran Stratagem and the stuff with this episode.
Yeah.
Because in that one, the point is the gun. It's the weapon. But it's very clear that it's like, you know, the Doctor makes it clear, no, it's not the fact that, it's not the object itself. It's the fact that I would use it to commit atrocities and violence, and that's a thing I could never do.
It's something interesting. This is, maybe this, I don't know if it's a bit of a straw man, but I'll bring it up anyway. There's a scene in, the Visitation where the Doctor does use a gun to unlock a door. So it's not as if he just innately thinks, ooh, guns, icky. It's what they represent.
In Time of Angels, he uses it to shoot a gravity globe. Like, he uses the things.
Yeah. It's more the mentality, I think, that they represent. I mean,
Yes.
well, the fact that they're being used, I think, he probably does have an aversion to them and other destructive weapons.
Yeah.
But I think it's more what it represents for the Doctor that's particularly disturbing.
It reminds me of it's Rob Delaney made a tweet years ago now, but it's guns don't kill people. People who say guns don't kill people with guns.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally, yeah. And that brings us on to the main villain of this episode quite nicely, General Cobb.
It's Brian Cox, isn't it?
No?
No?
Thought it was.
No, Brian Cox is...
Have you seen Brian Cox's face before?
Yeah.
Then how?
He's significantly thinner.
They don't look remotely similar apart from being old.
I don't know, maybe
the only way Cobb could look less like Brian Cox is if he was black or something.
To be fair, I think the only time I've seen Brian Cox like in a more contemporary role was when he was in Zodiac, and he played this TV presenter. He had this big crop of silvery sort of white hair, and I think maybe that in conjunction with the, I don't know, intensity of the eyes, I guess.
Maybe.
Anyway.
So. No, this is Nigel Terry who plays Cobb. I think there's something to be said about like the fact that this man, although probably only having been alive a couple of days, like that is enough that he can't get rid of this entrenched like systemic belief that he has given by the machine. Literally, it's a literal Deus Ex Machina that he's been given. Like, because I don't know, because I think before, I don't know what it says about him that it's like before you learn the twist, you're like, okay, he's obviously there's a bigger history there, and that's why he hates these things. And I guess that's still technically true. I just don't know what it is about him specifically that means he's the only one who can't lay down his weapon at the end.
I think part of it is probably that he's the one in charge.
I guess so.
So he's like,
Yeah.
like all of this is on my shoulders.
Yeah.
And then to have in that moment just be like, and the war you fought was pointless. And
The
it's
whole meaning of
over,
your life.
and your whole existence is now rendered meaningless unless you are able to deal with this. And he's
Well,
like, I'm not. Time for gun.
There's also, I think, a clear difference. Like, at a certain point, he says he doesn't want the war over. He wants the war won.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
like
that's
he
a
says,
very
like
clear distinction.
Yeah. He's kind of programmed, in a sense, for victory, not peace.
To the point,
and
to the point where he's willing to lock up people as prisoners just for thinking different than him. And gee, that
think
could never happen.
I think it would be a very fair assumption that if there was like a total unconditional Hath surrender, most people would consider that a war won, but he would not.
Well, he said he wants to eradicate every last one from the planet, and I mean, well, like he has that thing where what does he say? Like he doesn't want pacifism or pacifist sentiments to spread like it's some sort of disease,
virus. Yeah. Well, like I said, he literally locks up people just for thinking.
Yeah.
Like, wow. No one could ever be that cruel in real life. That would be nonsense. There's also that guy Klein who like rocks up at the start, and he's meant to be like, I don't know how I feel about these group of people who are bred soldiers. They've like all they know is like military strategy and all this stuff, and then he gets fooled by mild flirtation. I don't know if I buy that.
You have to think about it. Realistically,
Cuff.
Every single person on that planet is a virgin.
But they also haven't been through puberty.
Well, I mean, that depends to what extent you mean gone through puberty.
Yeah.
Like, yes, they are born in post-pubescent bodies, but like they would have, like biologically, that process would have happened.
Why would the machine give them the knowledge of kissing? How does that help fight the Hath?
I don't know. Maybe the machine knows things about Hath we don't. You yourself said you wanted to see them run a train on Martha, so I don't know why you're complaining.
They would give me answers about the machines. It's all been leading to this.
Cuff, I don't think you understand the true core of the issue here. What you need to understand is boys are stinky. And that's and that's what the story is telling us. It's a very simple, clean way to tell us the very, I think, timely message. Boys are stinky.
It's a masterpiece. 10 out of 10. Let's move on to Jenny, and by extension,
Jenny.
Her journey with the Doctor through this episode. I think it's a very natural progression. I think it's really well structured how she like goes from literally like indoctrinated by a machine, perfect soldier, this and that, and we see her learn over the course of this what can't have been more than an hour. In Showtime, that is. I know that Doctor episodes are shorter than an hour. I know I've said some moronic things today, but I'm not a complete idiot. but I do think it is very believable. As is the Doctor's initial reluctance to accept her.
Yeah.
It's not a thing that I look upon him and say, "Oh, come on, Doctor, you're better than that." For like, I completely buy it.
Yeah.
I also think it's so interesting that the Doctor doesn't mention his actual children earlier than he does. Like, he really saves that for later in the story after he's already starting to ingratiate himself to Jenny.
Yeah. Because I think because you get that conversation where he's like, I've been a father before,
Yeah.
and every time I look at her, I just think of them and how all
Yeah.
that shit's gone forever now. But I like that that's almost like this is the new problem after I've started to like her.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
before that, it feels a lot more like I don't
Denial.
like her because she reminds me of what I used to be like during the darkest point of my entire life.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, yeah.
And either way, it's the dislike and the suspicion is rooted in trauma. It just switches one from guilt to grief, basically. Yeah.
And I love
Either
that
way,
I love that he also like initially denies Jenny Time Lord status by like giving them this reverence. Especially because we know and the Doctor knows
Yeah.
that Time Lords could be dodgy. Gallifreyans are a different story, but Time Lords certainly
yeah.
by and large were pretty dodgy. And I think
Well,
it's
I mean, like,
explained later on
even-
where it's like he chooses to remember them a certain way in
Yeah,
this
I was gonna
moment because
say,
he kind
like-
of has to.
Yeah.
even if you only had the context of someone at what like who had seen classic and was watching this episode for the first time,
Mm.
they would be like, yeah, no, there
Oh,
was
yeah.
there was some shitty guys, like Barusa was kind of an asshole, and
Well,
like
even
all those
then,
guys. But then like you say, when we get to End of Time and we're like, oh no, the war made them the worst people imaginable
well,
on
you
par
say that.
with the Daleks.
Well, you say that,
So,
Sam.
yeah.
In terms of who the Time Lords become because of the Time War.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if you've seen Trial of a Time Lord, but there's this really great
Bits of it.
monologue
I've
that
seen the
Colin
monologue,
Baker
yeah, that's
has.
basically it.
Probably one of his best moments in the TV show, where he accuses them of being the most corrupt civilization in the universe. That civilizations like the Sontarans and the Daleks and the Cybermen are in the nursery compared to the Time Lords. So there's definitely, I think, that context of how corrupt the Time Lords are. And I think you're correct in saying that if you, I don't know why the hell you do this, but if you had been a lifelong classic fan and just said, "Oh fuck it, yeah, let's put this episode on for some random reason,"
Well, presumably because you were like, "Wow, we're finally gonna meet Susan's mother." That's crazy.
Either way, that moment of the Doctor's rationalization, because that's basically what it is, makes perfect sense. And his character is more richer for it, both in this episode and as a character generally, which is kind of cool.
But he still knows they would never lie. Because why would they lie? That's ludicrous to even suggest that they would lie.
I hope you both just heard that very, hopefully loud nostril sigh that I just gave there, because I don't.
It's okay. But there's still like 8 years until we go think about
Chibnall
that.
make my brain liquid.
Well, actually, that's a good point. We now know, not that he'd make your brain liquid, but we now know that Jenny is like, she's purely related to the Timeless Child. There's no other Gallifreyan gene splicing going on with the rest of the Time Lords. This is the only person that we know of in recorded history who genealogically is the exact same as the Timeless Child. She is the only other clue we have to the Doctor's real origins. I wonder if the show will ever address this. Hear
would
that
require
deafening silence?
acknowledging- That would require
deafening
acknowledging
silence?
the Timeless Child in a meaningful way.
Well, hey, they did. RTD sort of did it once.
He sort of did.
I mean,
And let's be clear, it was better than Chibnall ever addressed it.
Yes. That is the one bar that Russell did not trip over and faceplant.
hey, there were good episodes in his second run. His
I would
story
say
arcs
most-
and
I would-
endings
I
were
would
just
say-
catastrophically bad.
I would say
The majority of them were
mostly
good.
Yeah,
It's just
It's
the
just
really
the
important
finales.
ones that, if you fuck them up, have a big ripple effect. Those are the ones he fucked up.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Back
Oh,
to
dear.
Jenny though.
Yeah.
I wonder how deliberate this choice of casting was.
Hmm.
Because I think Georgia Moffat was already an actor before she did.
She'd done a few things.
She's not related to
I'm-
Stephen Moffat, is she? No.
No, she's related to
Different
Peter
spelling.
Davison.
Oh, of course. No.
Yeah.
What am I thinking?
That's the whole ball game.
Yeah.
I've only got the filmography on TARDIS wiki. I need to look it up properly. I know that she was in at least one episode of Merlin, which I saw.
Oh, she was in Dreamland as well
Yeah,
as a voice.
yeah. Lady Vivian in Merlin. Let me see. Staged, obviously. That goes without saying. Wait, hang on. What? All 12 episodes of the Horn section? That's crazy.
I do not know what that is.
That's for me and Sam probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a bunch of small stuff. Like she'd been acting since 1999, so she's like an established actor. Nothing huge, but a bunch of small stuff here. And the 26 episodes of The Bill is probably her biggest credit before this.
Huh.
But yeah, I wonder how intentional this casting was, or if it was just a happy coincidence.
I think it was probably a happy coincidence. I'm just trying to see if I can find anything.
She auditioned for Robina Redmond in Unicorn and the Wasp, but Russell said that she better suited Jenny in Doctor's Daughter. So the role wasn't even written for her.
Okay, yeah, all right.
Russell just
It probably
decided
was
for whatever
just a
reason.
So it was
coincidence.
just a coincidence, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not as if it hasn't happened before. I mean, to go back to
No.
Monster Peladon, do you think that they deliberately thought, Pat Troughton's son, we got to get him in
Well,
this.
I mean, yeah, but you specifically got a character who's called the Doctor's Daughter. So, like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
and it's so crazy that I've seen Georgia and David's relationship now. They're incredibly well suited to each other. It's no surprise that they got together. But I think that I would find it difficult to pass that mental hurdle of the first time I met her and worked with her, she was pretending to be my child the whole time. Like, it's obviously a disconnect that you have to have with acting. Like, you know, you obviously can't form connections that way. But I still think it's like,
Yeah.
okay, they must have had a lot of time talking and getting to know each other offset. I mean, I say that, like, they've obviously built a 2-decade-long marriage out of it, and me saying, well, in my expert opinion, they talked. I don't know.
I mean,
I'm kind of waffling here. I don't know. It's been a weird recording session for me so far.
Yeah, not to like speculate heavily on the intricacies of their relationship and marriage, but I imagine the fact that like they're closer age-wise than you would typically expect. Like there is
That's
a
true.
not insignificant age gap. It's 14 years, but like
Mm.
14 years is still smaller than most parent-child performances
Yeah.
in film and TV.
Mm.
And it's not like I think it would only be like really weird if she was like 17 at the time,
Yeah.
which
Mm.
she wasn't.
She wasn't,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it would be very weird if it was child actor and then rekindled decades later. That
Well,
would
yeah.
be weirder.
But no one would ever do that, would they?
No one would ever do that.
No. That'd just be
No one
weird
in
and
the no one in the
disturbing.
media would ever fancy a child. Jesus Christ, I need to stop talking. Fucking hell. My I'm sorry, everyone listening to this episode. I've been on a. I don't know where my mental state is at the moment, but like I'm not providing good color commentary outside of the actual analysis of the episode. So let's get back on track. How do we feel about the fucking laser flip sequence? Because I think it's corny.
I mean, yes, it is.
Yeah, but it's look.
I just think it could have been better choreography than the exact same flip 10 times in a row. Like, there's no, like,
I mean,
intricately sneaking through all the lasers, calculating the next move. It's just, I'm going to do the same flip 10 times.
Well, that's actually a thing, right? Because you mentioned, Cuff, that a lot of Martha scenes don't seem to be quite that necessary. Would it have been better if the scene where Jenny moves through the lasers, that could have been a whole thing where the Doctor kind of
There's
had
also
to also
time
help
sensitive
guide her.
because the cog
I mean,
and
that's true.
the other ones were like right behind her.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
true. But if they, I don't know, if they could have engineered some way where the Doctor could have helped Jenny in that, I don't know, that could have helped with their characterizations and relationships and had her just really tense.
But I mean, I
I
agree
like
with
that
you,
being
Cuff.
said-
I think it's like really corny and looks completely unrealistic.
It's a
But
trailer moment,
I
right?
think it's corny and unrealistic in a way that Doctor Who always has been. So like, it doesn't
Yeah,
really
that's true.
bother
Like
me.
I tend to look past it because of like the Doctor's saying like not impossible, just incredibly unlikely, which is the way he described Time Lords earlier. And it's like, okay, cool. I can see this is like time.
Yeah.
This is Time Lord sorcery that the Doctor would
Yeah,
do if he was
it's-
more flexible. So like,
Yeah,
I
it's
get
like
it.
timey-wimey stuff. I mean, I wonder if is it perhaps a sort of residual echo of the Doctor's knowledge of Venusian Akita, for example.
Yeah, essentially.
15 could have done it, and that's enough for me.
Yeah, it's true actually. Yeah. And then we get to the source, which is this magic terraform orb.
It's
everyone's
God.
fighting over.
It's God,
yeah.
and it's in Eden, and it's in 7 days. Do you get the imagery there, Cuff?
Oh, I didn't get the 7 days part. I got the rest of it though.
From the each
from
day it's 7 days since the beginning.
Hmm.
Like and God rested on the 7th day, and that's part of the creation myth and whatnot.
I mean, that wasn't in my head during this sequence. The thing that was in my head throughout this whole thing was, if this kind of technology exists, why the hell are there orphan planets at all?
That's Cuff. That's like saying if there's a shit ton of food in the world, why are there starving children in the world? You know,
I mean,
capitalism.
Yes. Well, I would agree with you if this orb was behind a paywall in any way. It's just there.
Well, I mean, we don't know how.
Yeah, we don't know
commonplace
We don't know how
these
complicated
are
it is.
in this
Yeah.
period of time.
Yeah.
We just know this specific instance, something went wrong,
Exists.
Captain died, and everyone started fighting over who takes over, and they never
Yeah.
got around to turning it on.
Yeah. I was initially gonna be like, hang on a minute, why didn't you terraform the planet as soon as you arrive? But then luckily Donna has a line explaining it, which is like, if you gotta strip away the topsoil first, so build the building first underground. That I was like, okay, that's fair enough. I can understand that. And even the TARDIS being dragged off course, like it's something that I'm always like, I always forget why it happened, and that's because, well, they explain it very, very quickly at the end of the story.
Yeah,
Like a bootstrap paradox.
yeah, it's a bootstrap.
Yes, yeah. And it's like, it's very fitting with like, this is the kind of thing the TARDIS has done before and will do again. So whatever, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
She knows what she's doing.
Mm-hmm.
I like the twist that it is, because that moment where you realize, oh, this war's only been going on for 7 days, and you've got generations and generations of these clones that just keep arriving every 20 minutes. And the fact that they've been able to create a mythos in that time, it's really interesting.
Yeah.
And it's the moment when you find out, for me, I honestly think it might be one of the most discombobulating moments that I've experienced in watching Doctor Who, maybe generally, and that's saying quite a lot, because there's some very strange concepts in this TV show, but yeah.
Well, would it interest you to know that this is the same person who wrote the Lazarus experiment?
That's interesting. So I wonder if he was raised Catholic too, Cuff, because we've got some religious imagery in both.
Yeah, in both. But I think it's also interesting that we've got 2 episodes written by him that have some pretty, like, deep subject matter kind of there. Like, it's different degrees of success, but I think we both found
Yeah, I
in
think
Lazarus
it's more here
Experiment-
than in Lazarus.
Yeah.
we found things to appreciate in terms of, like, thematic complexity in Lazarus Experiment. It just did, that script itself didn't give a chance for
Yeah.
it to come out because they were focusing on the whole Martha's family subplot. But
Yeah.
this one is kind of the same, like, not in the same way, obviously, but in that we don't get a lot of the thematically rich detail until right at the end.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. Like in Lazarus Experiment, it was the church conversation, and in this one, it's the cataloging system. Which is, like I said, I think I said it before. It's kind of chilling when you learn that generations upon generations of people were created and killed in the span of a week.
Fed into the meat grinder.
Right into the meat grinder, and you also got to consider that first day, there must have been people still around to say what was going on. Second day, probably like a couple more, but that's probably it. So like 5 days realistically for this game of whispers to completely erode all memory from the previous 9 days of people knowing what was going on.
And now they're in the Garden of Eden, and soon we're gonna have some new alien species to tempt them into evil.
There's snake people in Doctor Who. There's like that one guy from Magician's Apprentice.
Yeah.
The Mara.
The Mara as well. Yeah, that's true. Not important.
Yeah.
Jenny's sacrifice is sufficiently heartbreaking. I mean, it's a bit like on a rewatch, knowing that she's gonna have a delayed regeneration to all this, it does kind of take away some of the sorrow in that moment, but it doesn't change the fact that it's incredibly well acted by both of them.
Yeah, but
it's more about what it means
More
to
about-
the characters in the moment.
yeah, then
Which is
now,
always
what it
the
means
case.
the
Yeah,
I
that's
agree.
And that's always the
show.
case with these kind of things where it's like an incredibly harrowing moment undone later on to like I said the same thing about retconning Donna's ending by the time you get around to Starbeast. I was like, that doesn't change the fact that the things happened to those people and they had to live with them for years and years and years and years and years. Like, it's still in the moment deeply troubling that it happened.
Well, with this case, it's not about the whole melodramatic, almost soap opera ending of, oh my god, this is terrible tragedy, and then we find out, oh, actually, no, it's not true. It's more about how it impacts the characters and the Doctor in particular, because then we get to the really great, powerful moment where he's holding a gun to Cobb's head, which is just a powerful piece of characterization, even from a writing perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great stuff overall.
Yeah. Is there much else to mention?
Well, the fact that she regenerates but keeps the same face is interesting. Like, it's not even a full regeneration. It's just it's more of an internal regeneration than anything.
Yeah, well, like what happens to the Doctor at the end of the season? I guess.
Yeah, but Jenny doesn't have a spare hand to divert the energy flow to.
Yeah,
it just sort of happens to her. It makes me wonder if this is how regeneration is supposed to work for timeless children, given that we now know Jenny is 100% timeless child.
Obviously, we can't account for that because, one, we shouldn't have to, it's bad, and two, it wasn't a thing at the time. My assumption is that obviously we see that when people come out of the cloning machines, they're not one-to-one copies.
No.
Unless they're Hath, because they're all 1-to-1 copies, as we discussed earlier.
They got the knockoff machines. They got
No,
the off
Sam,
So,
are
like,
you- Sam, are you just saying that all Hath look the same?
Yeah, we've already talked about this.
It's factually
sure.
the case.
My
Factually
assumption
the case.
is that the machine has like sort of a pool of DNA that it just sort of like randomizes so that you don't have like you're not a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy
Yeah.
and having like a degradation over time. So my assumption is that technically Jenny is a human Time Lord hybrid, but it's not important enough and they don't
Sure.
have enough time to like go into detail about like technically she's got human
Yeah.
DNA, so her face doesn't change when she blah 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 blah.
Yeah. Interesting thing about the progenitor machines as well. The scar that it leaves behind on the Doctor's hand, it's there for like a second, but it's the
Yeah.
exact same template that was used in The Empty Child for the scars on all the patients, the people who've
Oh,
been
yeah.
affected by the child.
Oh,
Which
actually,
makes it the second time in 2 episodes that story would be somewhat relevant. We got a reference in Poison Sky, and now the same prop used here.
that the scar reminds me of something I noticed in the episode where when they first show up and they all put their hands up, they go, none of them have scars. And I'm like,
They're showing their
how do you
palms.
know that? You're looking at their palms.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
scars on the back of the hand.
Exactly, yeah. and there's also things like, how did that one Hath manage to sneak behind the entire suppressive gunfire and capture Martha? Like, that choreography doesn't seem possible, but like, whatever.
Eh.
It's fine. Well, it's not. It's the driving force behind,
Yeah.
in my opinion, the weakest part of the episode. But
The script said it had to happen, so it happened.
exactly, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then we have everyone goes home. We say goodbye to Martha again. It's like,
We have that like foreshadowing of Donna
Mhm.
being like, nah, I'm never giving this shit up. I'm gonna do this forever.
I wonder
This
if
line
that's-
will not be recontextualized very soon.
yeah. We say goodbye to Martha as well. The Doctor and her. It's a nice moment between the two, where it's, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, it feels like a, especially compared to the goodbye from the previous season, it's definitely more of a, okay, like it was kind of rocky, but we're on good
Yeah.
terms now. So it's really cool. And that's it. That's the story. We never
Yeah,
saw Martha
that's-
again. She definitely won't come back later. This
No, but
isn't
she
setting
will.
up
I've
something.
already talked about how she comes
Oh.
back later multiple times during this
That's
episode.
right. That's right. We can't do the feigning ignorance.
You
thing
can't
for
do
very-
the facetious feigning ignorance bit that's never funny. Because
Well,
I've already done it. I've
comedy is
already ruined it for you.
what are we thinking?
I think that's it. Honestly, I
Yeah,
can't
that's
think
it.
of anything else.
What in terms of scoring though? How we think, where are we coming down for this one?
Um, I
I'm
think
gonna
it's
go
probably.
with. Sorry, yeah, go ahead, Sam.
No, yeah, you go.
I think it's 7.
I was going to say 7 as well.
I said 7 too. Brilliant.
So by sci-fi standards, it's about average.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Well, it's it's about a point higher than we gave Lazarus Experiment last time we saw it. So there you go. It is better than the mid-season season 3 stories.
It is an
And
improvement.
It obviously goes without saying that it's better than 42. I wonder if
Yeah.
its contemporary
I mean,
will rise above.
like I said at the top of this season has no bad episodes.
Yeah.
And, like, maybe it's my murder mystery bias, but like I kind of think this is the weakest one overall. If I'm being more objective, I would probably concede Unicorn and the Wasp is lower or like on par, but
Is that written by the
Well-
asshole that we don't like?
Yep.
yeah, but still. We'll
There's
get
not
to
as
that when we
much-
get to it in
Yeah,
2
yeah.
weeks.
There's no. I don't think there's as much Shakespeare Code icky elements.
No,
in-
I'm
in Unicorn.
If
of the
there
Lost.
was, what one of you would have mentioned it by now.
And there's also no James Corden, so like I think like no matter what happens with Unicorn and
Yeah.
Wasp next week, by default, it's this writer's best episode. Not that James Corden was the writer's fault, at least for the first episode of that he wrote. But regardless, next time we're not looking at anything by that guy. We're reviewing Black Orchid from the Fifth Doctor era.
Yep.
Until then, though,
It was
I'm Alex.
An episode.
Mhm.
Yep.
Until then,
2
I'm
of them,
Alex.
in fact. I'm Fitz.
There we go.
I'm Sam.
And thank God these two can stop interrupting me while I'm trying to set you free from listening to this fucking awful episode of the show. I'm so sorry for what I've done to it.
Hey,
I promise next time I'm gonna be on my best behavior next week, okay?
I don't know
swear
what
to
you're
God.
talking about, man. Me and Sam were fine. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm not blaming you for this.
No, I know.